7 things you didn't know about Jane Roe of Roe v. Wade. Perhaps you haven't heard much regarding Jane Roe of Roe v. Wade. If you're like me, only 8 years ago, I know that the famous leading plaintiff in the case that legalized abortion in the United States is actually a woman by the name of Norma McCorvey. Jane Roe was her pseudonym given for the case. On September 13, 2008, I attended an Alabama Citizens for Life banquet in Montgomery, Alabama. There I would hear Norma McCorvey's story for the very first time. I hung on every word as she told us the truth about her part in the Supreme Court's ruling and other facts like the following. Fact number 1, she never had an abortion. Norma McCorvey, the plaintiff in the case that legalized abortion for women, has confessed in innumerable interviews and speaking events that she never had an abortion and that her pregnancy was not a product of rape as she had claimed in the case. The then mother of 2 gave her 3rd child the gift of adoption. She was represented in the case as a woman seeking a legal abortion of her unborn baby. In a 1997 CNN interview, it was explained that McCorvey had made one trip to an illegal abortion clinic in Dallas that had been shut down. But now, McCorvey says she wouldn't have had an abortion anyway because she was too far along in her pregnancy. I can honestly say, no, I wouldn't have, she said. Norma McCorvey wrote in her first book, I Am Roe, that she in fact was not pregnant by rape like she had first said. That was a lie. She said she had invented the rape story in an attempt to make a stronger case for abortion. Fact 2. She asked her doctor to put her in touch with an adoptive foster attorney. That attorney put her in touch with pro-aborts. In an interview on May 18, 2006, they stated that after a time of being abortion-minded, Norma McCorvey wanted other options. Realizing that her child was going to be born into this world, she finally talked her physician into giving her the name of an attorney that dealt in adoptive foster cases. This lawyer listened to Norma and then introduced her to 2 people who would change her life forever. Those 2 women were Sarah Weddington, the attorney, and Linda Coffey, representing the plaintiffs, looking for a vulnerable pregnant woman who would sign their paperwork for the monumental case. 3. She agreed to be the leading plaintiff for free pizza and beer. Norma lamented in the 2006 interview with Brad Harrub, PhD, to make a long story short, I met with Sarah Weddington and Linda Coffey, and they upset me. They said, oh, Norma, don't you realize that women drive cars? Oh, Norma, don't you realize that women get to smoke in public? Oh, Norma, don't you know that women get to vote? I finally told them, hey, look, I just came for the pizza and beer because I was hungry. I met with them 3 or 4 times. I signed the affidavit that brought Roe v. Wade into being on March 17, 1970. Norma McCorvey not only never had an abortion, she never even entered a courtroom regarding this case. She only signed an affidavit in Texas and was used as a pawn. Had she been questioned or given testimony in court proceedings, this case may not have been won at all. Dr. Harrop was surprised when he asked, did you ever attend courtroom sessions? Her response stunned me. She quickly replied, no, never. She read about the legalization of abortion in the newspaper. She was never contacted after signing. Norma explained, I met with them, Weddington and Coffey, 3 or 4 times. I signed the affidavit that brought Roe v. Wade into being on March 17, 1970, and I found out about Roe v. Wade just like everyone else did. I read it in the newspaper. McCorvey was unaware that the case had gone anywhere. She has described her reaction as being as surprised as anyone. 6. In 1995, Norma McCorvey declared herself pro-life. Norma McCorvey publicly committed her life to serving the Lord and helping women save babies. She accepted a new job at Operation Rescue as a computer operator and was welcomed into the pro-life community. Since that time, McCorvey published One by Love in January of 2003, sharing her true story and accounts of changing her position from pro-choice to pro-life. She also made a pro-life commercial to lament her role in the case. In a 1995 Nightline interview, she explained that after working in 4 Dallas area abortion centers and learning a lot more, she started having inner conflicts with herself. From that time on, Norma has completely moved her position from a woman's right to choose to upholding the right life of the preborn baby. Number 7. She has attempted to have the case reopened and overturned. Norma has dedicated her life to pro-life work, starting her own ministry, Roe No More, in 1997, while continuing to speak out against abortion and for life. In 2003, Norma went to court in an attempt to overturn Roe v. Wade. Her case was dismissed by the Fifth Circuit Appeals Court, The U.S. Supreme Court subsequently denied review. In 1998 and 2005, she testified before Congress about the injustices of abortion and the deceit underlying Roe v. Wade. Speaking publicly on September 13, 2008, for the Alabama Citizens for Life banquet in Montgomery, Alabama, Norma stated, "My decisions were wrong, and I am fighting with every breath to change what has occurred. My view has changed. I believe that God has brought me to the point to bring change once again."